Time now for All Things Gators, All Things Orange and Blue. Dan Hicken and Frank Frangie. Hey, Hick.
Yes, I'm doing well. Thank you, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Best in the business in the Jacksonville area. Any orthopedic needs, se-ortho.com, se-ortho.com. Oh, man, where to start? Boy.
Hey, 2-1, Dan. 2-1, ranked 20th. That's all I know. 2-1.
They shouldn't be ranked 20th. They shouldn't have won the game Saturday. Man, oh, man. I you're right. You're right. And we all thought this going in, but we got fooled by the Utah game. So the Utah game may be one of the great upsets of the college football season when all is said and done. You find me 4 more wins on that schedule, Frank Frangie, and you let me know when you get to them.
Yeah, it's really weird. And I thought about this. They're clearly a 7-win team. Mm-hmm. I mean, at best. And the Utah game is weird. I don't know what to make of what's happened with the passing game. The rest of it, I kind of understand. Okay. They're okay defensively. At times good. They're not nearly as good without Ventrell Miller. At times they're not very good defensively. I expected that. The receivers are average. That's just reality. Other than Pearsall, there's average receivers and average tight ends. Good running backs, by the way. The offensive line's a little better than I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to make of the quarterback thing. And I'm rooting so hard for the guy. I really am, Dan. I tweeted this the other day. He's a good kid. Mm-hmm. Everybody likes him. By all accounts, he checks every box. My concern is he, Dan Mullen, for all he wasn't, a pretty good quarterback coach and was reluctant to play the guy. Clearly was. Is he not a good quarterback? Is he not a guy that can go through progressions, check to the second guy, make the easy throws, have touch on the ball? I hope he is. Again, this isn't the old days where you got to go to practice all the time, right?
Right.
So all we know is what we see in the games. If you're not very good at quarterback and there's no options at quarterback, and I'm not saying I'm there yet, that's not fair to the kid, but if you're not good at quarterback and there's no options, in today's day and age, you can't be good. I don't care if you're Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. If you're not good at quarterback, today's day and age, you can't be good. I don't want to put it all on one guy, but that's my fear.
Well, let's start with that. That's the lead, obviously. Let me address the quarterback situation with this. Saturday night, I was in the swamp and I had to have at least 4 ice creams. That's stress food, Frank. And a lot of that is because of Anthony. So I'm fatter, Dan, today because of Anthony. So I'm not happy about that. I mean, I had to keep going. I got it. Where are you going? Honey, I'm going to get another ice cream. Okay. Look what's happening here. Where are you going? I've got to have another ice cream. I think I'm going to try the strawberry shortcake pop here. I mean, it was unbelievable, Frank. So with that said, I watched him throw that first half. He was fine. It was okay. 7 of 9, 95 yards, made a couple good throws. As soon as he threw that pick, Frank, I could see it. I could sense it. His body language, everything. He could not go on to the next play, man. He's up here. Something ain't right with him. I believe it's because he cannot run freely. I don't know what the injury is. I don't know if he's hurt. I'm just telling you that he's a different player the last 2 weeks. We all know that. And it's because they will not run. Listen, he could have run for 200 yards against Utah. And I've seen enough of his athleticism to know when he's stepping out of bounds and sliding, right. That's not, Mullen used to say, we got to have a willing runner. And Trask would be a willing runner and get 3 yards. Mm-hmm. All right. Anthony Richardson has a willing runner. He's a 240-pound sledgehammer, dude. And with 4.5 speed, he should be. So that part of it has been taken away from him for whatever reason. And it's killing this offense because that's what the offense is based on, in my opinion.
Well, the possibility surely could exist that he's hurt, and they don't want to tell anybody he's hurt,
correct?
Because then people will defend him differently. I don't know if that's the case. That possibility exists.
Yeah.
The other possibility exists is that he's been told forever what a great runner he is, but not a great passer, not a great NFL prospect, and he's trying like crazy to look like the NFL quarterback. The slide at the end of the one run.
I just can't believe that, dude, because you got to win the games first, Frank. Right?
You would think, but I mean, we all have our own psychology.
Yeah, but Frank, Tebow was a first-round pick, and he was a runner. Yeah. I mean, so he'll be fine.
I'm with you, but I'm trying. I hear you. But to your point, though, Dan, he's not running.
Right.
He's not looking to run. He's looking not to. The sliding doesn't bother me as much. I think he's probably been told to do that.
Yes, that's fine.
Is the not taking off when there's time. But the result is if it's on purpose, whether it's because of an injury. But I'll tell you, when he does run, he certainly doesn't look hurt to me.
Right. I know.
So it's hard to believe it's an injury because when he takes off, he looks pretty good. So I don't think it's an injury. I think he's tentative. I'm not sure he thinks what to do. I think Billy Napier, he's been calling plays in the Sun Belt for a while now. This is a new world for him. I think everybody's trying to find their way a little bit. I think part of that's in play there. But here's the big picture. I used to watch Florida play Tennessee or Alabama and think I was watching a mini NFL game.
Right.
Saturday night with USF in Florida, I thought I was watching Memphis, East Carolina.
Yeah.
Didn't it feel like that?
Yes. I mean, again,
it was. You know what happens when Memphis plays East Carolina?
Yeah.
Both have quarterbacks that aren't good. They may be good runners. They're good athletes. They put the best athlete back there. They may have 2 or 3 NFL players between them on the field. Well, that's what that game looked like to me. And it was an even game. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I thought South Florida outplayed them.
Yeah.
About 100 yards.
Oh, yeah.
How Florida didn't. I mean, Utah, in fairness to the Gators in Utah, people said they got lucky. Well, Marty Burney made a really good play. Yeah. It wasn't like that ball got tipped to them or the wind blew. They earned that win, and Anthony had them in position for that interception to win the game for them. But Saturday, how did they win that game? What are the chances? A bad snap and a bad hold in today's college football doesn't happen. And so no, but here's the deal. And I got to get to the running backs. It bothered me so much last year. I can't get off it this year. I never thought we'd see this again. Quit alternating running backs. You've got an NFL back in number 2, Montrell Johnson. You've got a really talented freshman in number 7, Trevor Etienne. Then they can't. I'm sure Naquan Wright's the leader of the room, and he's a good person, and he's earned his stripes, and he's had an injury, and he's getting back to his old number, and he connects with all the other players. But I watched it with Malik Davis last year. They've got to give the ball. If you can't throw it, I mean, I need Montrell Johnson 18 carries a game and Trevor Etienne another 12.
6. Isn't that what he had 6. Yeah. I'm going to help you here, Frank. I'm going to help you. I've got a solution, a little bit of a solution.
Okay.
And we got to listen. We're not going to be great unless Anthony can figure things out. Okay. For whatever reason, that's on him and the coaching staff and Denny Thompson too. But I've got a little bit of a solution. And if you could pass this on to your Gator people.
Okay.
And I know Billy Napier follows me on Twitter.
I know you told me that.
Remember
before
that?
You bragged about that.
I did.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping he truly follows me and reads what I told him because I gave him a solution.
Okay.
And the solution is this. Frank, we all know this. This is easy football. You got to get your best players on the field. Right. Well, their best position is running backs. Their receivers ain't that good. Get 2 of them on the field at all times. Get Naquan in the slot if you got to play him. Use his speed. Get Montrell and Etienne on the field at the same time. I watched the Packers do it on Sunday night. It was smart. You know, we got Dylan and we got Aaron Jones. Let's put them both on the field. Get these guys on the field at the same time, Frank. That's what I'm here for. Go ahead and tell everyone how brilliant of an idea that is. Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw you tweet that. Okay, I saw it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And here's where I am with it. Normally, I'd say it's just a dumb tweet because there's only one ball. Okay, you can only hand the ball to one guy, so I don't need a blocker on the field. Okay, so normally that'd be a dumb idea. But I hear you, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you because you did a lousy job of explaining it. Okay. I'm going to help you explain what might not be as dumb an idea as I thought when I first read it. Because if you have a legitimate decoy with the other guy,
yes,
you're probably right. I mean, if Montrell Johnson's lined up behind Anthony and Trevor Etienne is in the slot, you got to pay attention to 2 guys. And your point is right. Here's why. I don't think there's a lot of other guys you got to worry about. You know,
correct.
I mean, Justin Shorter made a wonderful catch. Ricky Pierce in the slot. Yeah, but I don't disagree with you. But let's seriously.
Yes.
They can't keep playing Naquan Wright if they're not very good, but they've got 2 NFL backs.
I agree.
I don't think Naquan Wright's an NFL back. Okay.
Right.
I think the other 2 guys are. I think 2 is an NFL back right now. And I think 7's explosive. And so what I would do is I'd play those 2 guys. To your point, whether they're together or not. I'd run it. I'd have some sort of an option look. I'd have a lot of RPO, and I'd have Anthony keep it some of the time and hand it some of the time. I'd have a very short passing game, and I would work on that. I might throw one over the top every once in a while, but that game plan against Utah is what I would do. Here's my concern. So Utah played man-to-man and blitzed. Well, Anthony Richardson killed that because you play man-to-man, he can take off and make those 50-yard runs anytime he wants because there's nobody watching him. You're watching your guy. So Kentucky and Mark Stoops might have almost beat him twice because Kentucky and Mark Stoops came up with this plan: slow rush 4, drop 7, mix your coverages, but have all 7 guys watching the quarterback. So, and it worked famously. And I said this, I said, I worry can other people do it too? And then the first answer is, well, Kentucky's got better players than USF. So they can, but Kentucky doesn't have Alabama players, all right? They've got Kentucky had Josh Allen, who's now on the Jaguars, right? Alabama's got about 6 guys like that. So I said, okay, but I think USF is copied the formula. And guess what? Tennessee's going to copy the formula, and LSU's going to copy the formula. And that concerns me that the book is out on him now. Slow rush 4, drop 7, mix your coverages, make him read defenses. And I don't know what's going to happen there. And that concerns me because everybody's going to do it.
Well, they better run the hell out of it. The offensive line is playing well, by the way. Shout out to the offensive line. Austin Barber had a nice game at right tackle from talking to some of the guys that I trust and told me the offensive line is playing at a fairly high level. The defensive line is a totally different story. South Florida ran through us like a knife through butter. They had 200 plus rushing yards at the half. Again, it's personnel, though. It's a cupboard that's bare. There's not enough. There's no depth. It gets worse in the second half generally. Dexter is getting double teamed and triple teamed because he's really the only big guy. I love big fella Watson, but he's got to lose some weight and get more. I mean, Tyreek Sapp is playing some inside when Frank, I don't know how much he weighs, but he doesn't weigh 290, 300 pounds. He looks like he's 240, 250, 260. I don't know, but I mean, just there's not enough there. And the linebackers, my gosh, what happened to Wingo? 4-star kid coming in, he can't get on the field. And the linebackers are running every which way, at times away from the football. I mean, and I know they miss Ventrell Miller, but that's one guy. It just is what it is, Frank. And I don't know how much they can fix with what they have.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Dan. Look, and I'm not smart enough to know if Scooby Williams and Derek Wingo and DeJuan Black and Shamar James, although he's young, I'm not smart enough to know, did they miss on him or did they do a poor job of development? Back in the day, these 2 linebackers would go and the next 2 4-stars would walk in and you wouldn't miss a beat. And that's not the case anymore. That level is not very good. As to the defensive line, listen, I appreciate the fact that Big Dez is trying to get in shape and Billy said he's lost some weight. And Tyreek Sapp, to your point, is battling all he can. But those are 2 guys who should probably play 10 plays a game each. Dez should go in there when your starters are tired and give you a little bit of run defense until the starters are ready to go again. Tyreek Sapp should be an edge guy that backs up Brenton Cox and Princely and comes in every now and then. And they're both having to play minutes in the middle, play after play after play in the middle because there's nobody there. They've not recruited the D-line well. Listen, and I don't want to put this all on Dan Mullen, but maybe a little bit of his McElwain. And they've recruited a handful of good players.
Right.
But the reality is they've recruited so many average players that this is going to take a while. I'm telling you, Dan, we were watching Memphis USF the other night. I mean, we were watching Memphis, East Carolina, and I'm like, how'd that happen? How did it happens
when your coach says we'll talk about recruiting during recruiting season. That's a big part of it. And again, you're right. We can't blame everything on Dan Mullen. And at some point, let it go. And he did bring some joy to the University of Florida. So I'm kind of past that and over that and moved on. Let's talk Tennessee real quick. All I'll say is this, man. Look, I mean, I think it's 16 of 17 or 17 of 18, and game day is going to be there. Unfortunately, they're going to be asking Tennessee all week long. They're frothing at the bit. But Frankie, don't you give those orange and blue kids a chance in the fourth quarter, Frank. Don't you let that happen, Tennessee, because you'll get tighter than a you-know-what on you-know-what.
Well, that's the only seriously, that's the only chance Florida has is Tennessee is way better.
Yeah.
The coach has them in a rhythm.
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine the party Saturday night if it goes the way I'm afraid it's going to go? So I think Tennessee, what's the line though? Have you seen the line?
Was it 10? I don't know if I've seen the line yet. It might be 10, but I'm not sure.
It's probably somewhere thereabouts.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Tennessee's waiting, and listen, they've been waiting a long time for this one. I'm trying to remember the last time a Florida football team played Tennessee, and I felt like they didn't have a chance to win. I don't know that it's ever. I don't know that I can ever remember. Ever, I'm going to go ever on you. I can't remember ever thinking. I mean, the Zook team. Zook went up there and won in 2002. Yeah, should have won in 2004. Got screwed by Penn Wagers and Bobby Moreau.
Damn you, Penn Wagers. Good call.
You know, so too bad. So Zook won once up there and should have won the other time up there. Urban dominated them. Obviously, McElwain, Mullen, Muschamp dominated them. Spurrier, they had good series, but there was never, even in 90 when they got rolled, in 92 when they got beat, I never felt like going up there they didn't have a chance to win. I can't fathom them winning this game, and I hate. I'm a Gator guy. I hate feeling that way. But can you remember a time, Dan, and you've watched as long as I have, when Florida's played Tennessee and you thought it was unlikely they could win the game?
No. It's I don't want to think in these terms, Frank. Damn you. I want to think somehow, some way. We did it with Treon Harris and Austin Harden. What was the kicker?
The line drive 10-9 win.
Yeah, 10-9. We did it with those two.
Yeah,
we can do it with these guys.
Here's Austin Harden's career stats as Florida's kicker. Yeah. 1 for 80, but the one was a 50-yarder.
Maybe Austin.
Remember the line drive? It was 5 feet off the ground until it went over the upright, over the crossbar.
That's what I'm focused on, Frankie.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. Here, I don't think there's much chance they can win. But what you made a good point. Tennessee wants it so bad, right? And so bad. And it's game day's coming, and they're going to kill the Gators, and they're going to party all weekend. Yeah. Well, if you're so caught up in it, and all of a sudden you look up and it's the middle of the second quarter, and it's 13-10 somebody, you start thinking, oh my God, not again. I'll tell you a story. You love stories, right?
I do love stories.
This is a great story. So in 1995, as you know, Florida had the 62-37 win. Okay. And they scored 48 in a row, and it was a humiliating loss because Tennessee had a really good team. Okay. So the next year, Florida gets beat by Nebraska and they get blown out. So Florida looks vulnerable.
Right.
So the next year, Florida goes up there, and Tennessee had a really good team again. It's Peyton's third year, and they thought this is the year they're going to win. I got a buddy, my buddy. I love this story. My buddy Chuck, diehard Tennessee fan. I mean,
old Chuck.
He loves the Vols. So he's at the game, and this is going to be the year. They're in Knoxville. No more of this Gator crap. We've been losing to them too much. This is it. It's over. It's going to end. And the Gators get the ball first, and it's raining, and Tennessee's going to beat them because they're tougher in the rain. And Florida's got a 4th and 11 at about the 40-yard line of Tennessee. And my buddy Chuck is sitting to that end zone they're coming to under the Vol. You know the big Vols in the end zone?
Sure, I do.
He's sitting right under the VOLS. They're coming toward him, and this is the year it's raining. We got him in 4th down, and Spurrier goes for it on 4th down on the first series, and Werfel drops back to pass, and my buddy sees it all coming toward him, my Tennessee fan buddy. And he's watching, and he knows this is the year, and all of a sudden he looks down, and Riedel Anthony blows by the whole defense.
Yep.
Werfel throws the ball. My buddy sees the ball coming down. He looks down, and Riedel Anthony is about 10 yards behind the Tennessee defense, and he goes, they're going to beat our ass again. And the ball hasn't even come down yet. And you know the story. He catches it, touchdown, jumps into stands. They get up 35-0, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Well, I'm hoping that something bad like that happens to them or good for us.
Yep.
And then with this year, this is the year they're going to win. This is the year it's going to happen.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they start doubting themselves. That's really the only chance Florida has.
It's all we got, and it's fair. And look, again, to the victors go the spoils. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to stay positive. One other note, Frank, before we get out of here, shout out to the volleyball team. Went up to Wisconsin in front of 16,000 and beat number 4 ranked Wisconsin, the defending Natty champs. Maybe Mary Wise this year could be the year, Frank. Let's get excited. Hashtag volleyball school.
Here's what I will tell you. Honestly compels me to commit that our friend Lauren Brooks, who we have now going to hire as the podcast volleyball and gymnastics reporter.
Yes.
I didn't know they had played Wisconsin. I didn't follow this stuff closely. I'm not a good podcaster, apparently. But she told me that whole story. And now, like you, knowing that football isn't quite where I want it to be, I'm on board. Okay. I'm on board volleyball and Masters. So
plenty of room for all you Gators out there. Let's go.
Let's hope it happens this week. That's All Things Orange and Blue, All Things Gators. Dan Hick and Frank Francis.
And thank you, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Any orthopedic needs in the Jacksonville area, se-ortho.com. They really, truly are the very best. Frank, you have a good week, and go Gator.
You too, Hick.
All right.